Hey guys, it's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe, and first off I wanted to say thank you to everyone for asking me all these questions. Looks like I've got about 35 comments, and some of them have 2, 3 questions each, so this might take a little while. So this is a follow-up to my AMA Ask Me Anything Within Reason video that I did a month ago now. So let's kick off the video. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I'm in my basement. I don't want my son to wake up and hear me, and I have a fan on just 'cause it's a little warm down here tonight. So the first question comes from James Moss 3424, longtime viewer and friend. What is your favorite 80s horror movie? Mine is Nightmare on Elm Street from 1984. This is a tough one. I have a lot of 80s horror movies I really love. Sleepaway Camp, Maniac. The Lost Boys is probably my favorite in regards to like mainstream sort of normal horror movies. But I like so many of them. I mean, there's just tons of 80s horrors, like the perfect combination of that cheese factor with like the 80s goofiness and the horror element kind of all congealed. So there's just too many to name, but if you were to say name one, The Lost Boys is up there for me, and I think most people know that. I have to rewatch that. It's been a while. The second question is from Keithy Huntington, who is talking about Donald Trump. I don't really talk politics on this channel, so I'm not answering that one, but I do love Keithy. He's a good friend of mine. William Blasco, my good buddy Will. He recently had sent me some very, very nice gifts, but here is his questions. You may have mentioned it in a past video, but what is your favorite film of any genre of all time? This is a tough one. This is a tough one for me. I have too many to name. I can rattle off like 5. The Road Warrior, Brazil, The Lost Boys, Chopper, The Warriors, Nirvana with Christopher Lambert. I just have so many. It really depends on my mood. Johnny Mnemonic. Depends on my mood and what feeling I have going on, if I want to relax or I want something crazy, horror. So those are some of my favorites. Yeah. His other side note, oh, I just got done watching Frankie and His Pals. Not only was there an awful rap and a Halloween theme, there's also lots of hot chicks doused in hairspray. I enjoyed it. So he's mentioning Frankie and His Pals because that was a movie I recently reviewed on the channel. It was released only on DVD, but it came out on Tubi, so I did a quick review of it. It was pretty silly fun. Okay, Sweetest Sadist says 2 questions. Which Sega CD games did you put mostly into your music player for actual music, not just the creepy digital pictures phone call? That's a good question. I really didn't listen to a lot of the music on the Sega CDs. I always thought Snatcher had excellent music, and Rise of the Dragon, as well as Willie Beamish. Those are some of my favorites, and the music just totally adds another layer to those games. Why isn't Panic in your top 5 favorite Sega CD games? I like Panic. I think it's cute and it's kind of quirky and fun, but it's not one that I find myself wanting to go back to a lot because of that like random push a button and something funny happens. Oh, it's so zany. Little too try hard for me, but I do enjoy it. Quick Learn 818 says, "Good morning. Have you ever seen Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight, and if so, do you like it?" Yeah, I've seen both Tales from the Crypt films, the old ones, Demon Knight and Bordello of Blood. I remember them being pretty good. It's not anything I own or would buy, but they're kind of fun. A movie nobody talks about anymore, White Man's Burden with John Travolta. Have you seen that? And if you have, what do you think? I have not seen that one. I find John Travolta to be okay. He's not a favorite of mine or anything, so I don't really delve into his, movieography too much. Oh, my good buddy Josh, Neo Turbo Maniac 78. I don't know if I've asked this before, but what is your favorite subgenre of horror and some of your favorites in that area? Um, I love cyberpunk, so I really like cyberpunk horror, like things like Hardware, where there's like not robots per se, but like futuristic shit. What else? I like the Cthulhu type of stuff, like the one Nicolas Cage was in. My God, I almost said The Color Purple. I'm so tired. You know which one I'm talking about, but that one was good by Richard Stanley. The Void was cool. Uh, The Road Warrior I love. I know that's considered more of a post-apocalyptic, but I like that there's horror elements in it. So those are some of my genres I really like. I like body horror stuff, like Society. Reanimator's okay. Like I don't love it, but it's pretty fun. Um, Body Melt is cool. So I like a lot of the body horror type stuff. I think that's interesting. Videodrome is one of my absolute favorite films. So this is a good answer to one of the last questions. I love Videodrome. He also asks, what is your favorite calendar decade for horror movies? Definitely the 80s. I think the 90s has some fun stuff and it carried over. It got a little too like fourth wall breaking for me and like, nod and wink at the camera ish. But I do like a lot of the 90s movies as well. But 80s, I think, was the epitome of horror movies. Mike Silva, another good buddy of mine who watches and comments a lot. Are you going to watch any Troma movies? I'm trying to think what the last Troma. I think the last one I watched was that one Slime. I'm not a fan. I think it was Slime, or yeah, I think it's called Slime. My buddy Jeff sent me it. It was not good. Um, I find that Troma has really lost its luster. I love things from Troma like Mother's Day and Tromeo and Juliet, excuse me. But a lot of their other stuff they put out now, I just find really bad. Charlie Cat, my good buddy Anthony. Great to see another video from you. This is about your Neo Geo memories. How did you become aware of the Neo Geo? So when I was a kid, they had a Neo Geo arcade machine down the block at was it a video game store? It was a store. I don't know if it was a laundromat, something. And I thought it was phenomenal. And I remember very clearly that they had this magazine with all this stuff you could buy. And my dad was like, I'll get you the Neo Geo, don't worry. And my mother's like, it's like $500. You're not getting them that. That's crazy. And we didn't have a lot of money growing up. And I never did get it. I only have a Neo Geo X and a Neo Geo Pocket Color. But that's sort of where I got, I wish I would have bought it back when it was cheaper. Or even I had a chance to buy like a Neo Geo CD for like $50 at one point with games. Totally should have did it. Where was the first location you saw a Neo Geo MVS? I don't know if I've ever seen one in person, and if I have, it's been at like a convention where it's behind glass. Have you ever seen a Neo Geo AES in stores? I don't think so. When I grew up in the Bronx, I don't remember much in terms of the Neo Geo. I just remember it was kind of out of reach in terms of how expensive it was. What is your favorite what is your first Neo Geo game? I think my first one was Cyberlip or Metal Slug, and I love those. What is your top Neo Geo game? Probably again Cyberlip or Metal Slug. Burning, is it Burning Fight? That's pretty fun. Mutation Nation I like a lot. There's a lot of phenomenal games on the Neo Geo, so I wish I could own one. It's beyond me at this point, price-wise. Here's two questions from Anis Flippo 486, excuse me. Anis Flippo 486. What are your best favorite 5 horror movies ever? This is tough. I'm just going to name off some ones I really love. Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge. Maniac, Maniac Cop. I love Hellraiser Inferno, even though people don't like that one. I've mentioned The Lost Boys. That's 5, right? I love Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I really like, people hate it. I really love Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation with Matthew McConaughey. That one's really fun to me. And I like a lot of the rest of the films in that series too. Do you think they can make a Sonic Mania 2 in the future? I'm not the biggest Sonic fan, but I do have one of the Sonic, I think it's Sonic Mania, and it's fun. I like that they sort of remix old levels and do things. I think it's perfect for people trying to capture that nostalgia again, and for younger people who maybe haven't played those old school Sonics. So I think they're a great, new thing to put out that still has that old sentiment to it. Fuzzy Beans says, I've always wanted to know what Sega CD universe is and why do you call yourself Vampire Mike? So, I mentioned this in previous Q&A videos. Vampire Mike is a nickname I got from the tattoo shop. When I was younger, 18, and I would go in and get tattoos of vampire girls and they knew The Lost Boys was one of my favorite films, and I liked vampire movies and stuff, they dubbed me Vampire Mike because there's a million Mikes that go to the tattoo shop. Um, and a lot of people know me by that now. I spell it Vampyre because there was a Vampire Mike online who's passed away who spelt it the regular way, so I put a Y in there to sound different. Sega CD Universe was something really silly I came up with when I was a teenager, and I made my first website based around Sega CD. It still exists, and it's on Angel Fire. Feel free to look it up. It's very old and crappy, but some people have nostalgia for it, which is nice. Um, how come you're not wearing your string vest anymore? Does he mean like the undershirts? Usually I film these in the basement, so it's a little warmer, so that might be why. I've enjoyed watching your videos for a few years now. You've always got a calming tone and never come off as being needy and desperate. Well, thank you. I've always sort of wanted to make it like chatting with a buddy on a couch. I never wanted to do high production value or capture footage or anything crazy. I like it just to be a kind of easy back and forth, so to speak. So thank you. I appreciate that. Anthony Chobot says, what is your favorite Troma film? Fortress of America is up there. Tromeo and Juliet and Mother's Day. Those are probably my three favorite. Sega Database says, I'm interested to know what is the first Sega CD game you ever played and which Sega CD game do you think deserves a remake in 2024? Oof. My first game was Sewer Shark. And I honestly think Sewer Shark would make a good remake because if you can get past the difficulty of listening to the call signs and knowing which way to go, it's really good. It's also very difficult, but it's very fun. When I was a kid, and I've told this story before, when I first played it, I could not believe that you were controlling what looked like a movie to us on a CRT. You know, probably a 17-inch or 20-inch TV, nothing huge. And they were showing you video, and you were controlling it. I could not believe it. Mind was melted. His other question is Sega Saturn or Dreamcast? Very tough question. I'm going to go with Dreamcast. I love the Saturn for imports, but I love the Dreamcast for imports. And I just think it aged perfectly. You can play it still. It looks great. The games look great. It's still online. It is an awesome, awesome console. And I have a lot of nostalgia for it too, where the Saturn I more picked up and played as I got older. Pandemonium Reviews. What are your favorite Saturn games? And what is your thought on Mongolian throat singing? I don't really know if I know. Is that what Sheldon does in Big Bang Theory? I don't know Mongolian throat singing. Favorite Saturn games. Last Bronx is really good. Fighting Vipers is very fun. In terms of imports, I really like Cyberdoll and Wackenroder, but I haven't gotten very far in them because of the Japanese language barrier. What other Saturn games? Oh, Guardian Heroes is really fun. I have a lot of them. It's hard to think of them all, but those are some of the ones I really enjoy. Junkmaster 3. What is your favorite and least favorite Corey Haim movie? Oof. My favorite's probably The Lost Boys, but I really love License to Drive. Double O Kid is just a guilty pleasure of mine. I pop in Decisions and Fever Lake and stuff like that from time to time when I want something kind of goofy and B-movie-ish. Oh, Prayer of the Roller Boys is phenomenal if you haven't seen that one. That's a really fun B-movie with Corey Haim. And what is your least favorite? It's probably Busted with Corey Haim and Corey Feldman and Dominic Brascia. That's just a terrible movie, and I like garbage. That's a bad, not fun movie. Which decade of movies do you like the most? I sort of covered it in one of the last questions, probably the 80s and early 90s. I think it had the most panache, if you will. Okay. Next we have my buddy Nick T. Wolf. What is a tattoo you've always wanted to get but haven't? I wanted to get the Road Warrior tattooed on my back with the dog. I wanted to get a slice of pizza for my son, like just a small slice, but I don't really have any room on my arms. My legs, I probably could do it, or my stomach. That's probably going to come in the near future. Do you still have your cleaver? Yes, I do. I have a cleaver, I think, in my basement, and I think I have a couple hidden knives throughout the house. You never know if someone breaks in. So, if you could go back and become a tattoo artist, would you? No. Um, I still enjoy the art aspect of it, even though I've never been very talented at art. I tried numerous times. Uh, I think it wasn't for me. I think that it was too feast or famine in regards to making money, and I needed something much more steady, and I got that now. So, BioPhoenix reviews. Do you like reading? I used to love reading, but I didn't read much. I don't enjoy reading as much as I used to. The only time I really read is if I go on vacation and I'm just with my wife or I'm alone, which doesn't happen anymore because now that we have our son, you're on vacation and you really don't have time to read because he's running around and you have to watch him. So I don't read as much. I think the last book I read was Clown in a Cornfield, and the one prior to that was The Valkyries by Paulo Coelho, who's one of my favorite authors. He also asks, what game do you hope gets a fan translation? Um, Shadowrun on Sega CD. I would love to own that game. Or Mega CD, I should say. I would love to own that game. I have my buddy Ben B8710. What has started your interest in Aussie culture? So it started with the Road Warrior and the Mad Max series, and then it got bigger and bigger with Chopper. I love that movie. I think he was a very funny individual. Body Melt. What else? Um, oh, what's that one with the guy who's in the apocalypse and he's trying to kill the doctor? That one's pretty fun. It's a horror movie, but it's got like that post-apocalyptic horror thing going on. I can see the cover, but I can't think of the name of the film. It's okay, but I just find that Australians put out a lot of interesting stuff, and I love all my Australian friends. So they have some cool stuff they've sent me over the years too. What is your favorite model of Sega CD? The second model. I like the side loader and the Model 2 Genesis. I just love how it looks. Very futuristic. Did you own a Sega Saturn at launch? I did not. I owned one many years later. Then I sold it. Then I rebought one, I think. And then I started getting into the imports. Oh, it's so good with imports. It has so many fun games that you can play with the Action Replay 4-in-1, which is how I play them. AEMan8576 says, what's the intro song from your videos? That is Tunnel Vision from the video game Double Switch, which is not a full real song, covered by my friends Harley and Kenny Wooten. They're musicians that were very famous in the 90s with the band The Death Kids out on Long Island, and they love Sega CD as much as I do, so they covered that song, and that's what you're probably hearing. How many discs, movies, and games do you have in your collection, and do you feel like it's too much? I have over 1,500 movies. I have every Sega CD, which is like 200 in America. I got probably 50 Saturn and 50 Dreamcast games. I have a lot of stuff. Sometimes I feel like it's overload. I do have thought of selling my Sega CD collection because I don't play it as much as I used to. And with older games, it's hard to find the time to play harder older games that you really can't save and get up and go. I need that right now with having a small child. So yes, I have too much stuff. Why do birds suddenly appear every time a video from you gets out? Very funny. That's a Carpenter song. A lot of my friends hate that song. My friend Matt Manley comes to mind. He used to hate that song. COVID and Cult Film says, when are you going to come out of the closet? As soon as you come in the closet with me, Joel. Cyberpunk Gamer 5866. That's my good friend Drew. We got Freddy vs. Jason and Godzilla vs. King Kong. What is a versus movie you would have loved to see? That's a very good question. I think I would have liked Leatherface versus Jason, or Leatherface versus Pinhead. Like, I think Leatherface with anyone would be really cool. So probably that. Pizza and Knife. That's my good friend Jason. With movie theaters slowly dying over the last couple of years or even decade, and streaming becoming a go-to for movie dweebs, where do you stand in the movie theater experience nowadays? I'm not a big fan of... I like going. I find them to be kind of dirty and way too expensive. So the last thing I saw was we watched Trolls 3 for a little while with my son, and he couldn't hang and he wanted to leave. He loves the movie, but for some reason the theater just, he got bored of it after a while and wanted to go home. Before that, I think I saw what's that movie with the uh it's the horror movie with the Warrens. I think I saw the second one and it was pretty good in theaters. I can't think of the name of it. The horror movie with the big thing with long legs. I'm just not a movie guy anymore in terms of theaters. I did work in a movie theater when I was a teenager, though. Um, my wife and I go to the theater often, and we have tickets for Alien next week. We're stoked, but sometimes we find ourselves saying, "Now we'll wait for it on video on demand." Maybe it's because I grew up going to the video store more than the theater. Yeah, I mean, I think the COVID changed everything a lot, and the comfort of your own home kind of makes things a lot easier. You could sit around in your boxers and eat popcorn and not really care, and I think that's a big part of it. How do you feel about The Crow? I like the first one, but I hate the rest. Do you dig the comic, and do you have any interest in seeing the new one? I'll watch the new one eventually when it's on streaming. I think the first one's good, but it's overrated. I thought the other ones were decent. I actually like the story of the one with Edward Furlong a lot, with David Boreanaz, but I don't like Edward Furlong in that movie, so that's a really bad film, though I do like the idea. I haven't read the comics. Nick T. Wolf asks again, what is your current movie count and how do you store them? I don't know if you see it back here. I have a big rotating shelf. I have a big one and a small one. And then I have a kids movies over here with like just a regular wire rack. I think I'm up to like 1,600 and change. Bald Gasper 4548 says, what's your opinion on the new Silent Hill remake and the movie that's coming out based on the same game? It actually looks pretty good. I love the Silent Hill series, and this remake looks pretty good. When it goes on sale, I'll probably pick it up, and I will watch any Silent Hill movie. I thought the first one was very good. I thought the second one was okay, but yeah. Midnight 2067 says, why is Leatherface your favorite horror film killer? I like that he's dumb. I like that he's not an intelligent killer, and it just comes down to raw, like, crazy murder, which seems more realistic than something like Pinhead or, you know, Jason coming back from the dead or Freddy going into your dreams. It's a little less fantasy in that regard, and I just think he looks the coolest. He also asks, why do you only buy physical games? I'm old-fashioned. I like to own stuff. I like to have tangible items that I can put in whenever I want. We lost the internet a couple years ago in this house for like a weekend, and I said, all right, we have 1,000 movies downstairs. What do you want to watch? So it just works out. My good buddy Fred, Freddy9116, what is your top international film? Countries like Canada, Australia, or Europe, or the UK, Germany, Italy, France, or Asia. What are your favorite movies from around the world? Chopper for Australia. I do like Body Melt. That's pretty fun. I know I mentioned that one prior. I love the movie Snatch. I haven't watched that in a long time, so I don't know how well it's aged. Revolver, I love, by Guy Ritchie. German, I'm trying to think. Rabid Grannies was funny. I think that was Dutch or German. That was a pretty cool movie. I don't watch a lot of import films because I can't get on well when it's in another language and I'm tired. And I'm tired right now. So it's hard for me to focus when I'm tired watching something in another language. Even though I watch every movie with subtitles. What's your favorite videos and thoughts on the current state of GameStop and looking at your time there? This is from PAC 2012. I have some really fond memories and have made lifelong friends from working there, from both customers and people I've worked with. It's kind of sad the way it's went. I do like, mom and pop video game stores now, but they seem few and far between. GameStop is just very expensive unless you catch them on a really good deal or slipping up on a price. They've definitely seemed to branch out now into retro games and toys. I still go in and look, and I still have fun there, but I don't buy a lot there anymore unless something's really cheap. Lumnatino Scopers. How's the quitting caffeine going? I would love to see another video about it. So I did a recent video because you commented, And I feel good. Besides being tired right now and wanting a cup of coffee, I feel very even throughout the day. I'm sleeping better. I'm sleeping deeper, I think. Or not deeper, but like it's easier to fall asleep, I guess. Well, maybe not. My wife says I fall asleep in seconds. But I feel even. Instead of the ups and downs throughout the day of I need a coffee, I'm really tired. I'm just fine throughout the whole day. So I feel really good. Thanks for asking. And the final question is, Coolity, what would you do for a Klondike bar? I like Klondike bars. Probably a good deal of stuff that isn't illegal. Um, if you had more hair, what hairstyle would you want? When I had hair, my two most famous, or excuse me, favorite, I should say, hairstyles are I had the Mike Patton thing going on with the long hair and the shaved sides. That was cool. I would probably just do slick back, kind of like something out of Goodfellas or maybe Dale Cooper from Twin Peaks. I always had like thick, slick back hair until I started going bald. Uh, if you were abducted by aliens, what kind of planet would you like them to take you to? It would probably be something like Slaughterhouse 5. Something really weird and strange. Um, his other questions are, do you think of all the full motion video games from the Sega CD, which ones should make a comeback? Well, I would have said Double Switch, but that one got a comeback. And I would have said Ground Zero Texas, but I think that one got one too, if I recall. So I'd probably say like Snatcher, Rise of the Dragon. Those aren't really full motion video per se. Rise of the Dragon might have some full motion video, you know, cartoon scenes. Oh, I love Willie Beamish. That game was so good. But yeah, I guess Sewer Shark. Favorite food that starts with the letter R. Mm. Ribs. I love ribs. If you were to fight any fictional character, who would it be and why, and who would win? Wow. Fictional character. I don't know. Um, I'm not much of a fighter. I'm a lover more than a fighter. Just kidding. I don't know what fictional character I hate enough. There's some actors and actresses I really dislike that I would like to see like get smacked in the head, but I don't wish them really anything ill. I just find everyone to be way too crazy, over the top, and political and nasty now. What is the worst video you've ever watched? Excuse me, on YouTube? Probably nonsensical ramblings from people with mental conditions that just go on, or people that film commercials and post them. I don't, unless you have some kind of nostalgia for it, I don't see the point of, and I'm not talking old commercials from the 80s or 90s. I mean like current, just like credits and stuff. Just, I don't get it. If you could choose the weather for the following days, how many days a week would there be rain? I actually used to love rain, but now that I own a house, I'm always worried water's going to get into the house. So I would probably go for like 70s and warm, sunny out, maybe 80s at most. Are you good at juggling? I'm okay. I'm not very good at it. I'll do it once in a while to kind of mess with my son and show him it, but I can't really juggle. What is your shoe size in both American and European? I don't know my European shoe size. My American size is roughly a 12, though sometimes I get away with 11 and a half depending on the brand. I think that was all the questions. I'll do a brief scroll here, and just to make sure I didn't miss anyone, excuse me. I think that's it. So, let me just keep scrolling for a moment. That's it. So I would really like to say thank you to everyone for taking time to leave a comment and a question. I appreciate them. They were all pretty thought-provoking, and hopefully I gave you some interesting answers. I have a lot of favorite video games and movies, and TV shows I don't watch as much as I used to. I find them to be too long for me. I need something sort of bite-sized at this point in life. I have to be able to save my games as much as I want, not be so difficult that I beat my head up against the wall. I need movies to be about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then to let me go. I have other things to do at this point. So, if I wanted to add anything else to this, let me think. If you can have children, have them young, if you can afford to. 20s is probably good, 25, 28, around there, where you're stable enough, but also have grown enough. Children have added, or child in this case, the most happiness to my life I've ever had. I love my wife. I love my family. Your child is be all end all. Being born is the best feeling you'll ever have. And seeing your child smile and making them happy just washes everything away. So that's what I want to say about life in general and what I've been doing besides working. Thank you again, everyone. I really appreciate all your comments and questions. And I made so many good friends over the years on this YouTube channel that I've kept in touch with through Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and phone calls and Xbox. It's been a phenomenal outlet, and that's why I still do this. Thanks, guys, for watching. It's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. Be good.